It's been a little over a month since the birth. Holding my tiny baby, I finally returned home, and my heart tightened. I gave birth earlier than expected, and it was an extremely difficult delivery. My body suffered more damage than anticipated, so I remained hospitalized until now. I stepped into our newly completed home for the first time in about a month. But there stood my husband, looking tense, and my sister, holding my baby with a smile. I'm home. But why are you here, Mia? My husband kept his expression tense and didn't respond. Then my sister Mia spoke up beside him.
This child is mine and Tim's.
What?
There was a secret baby, you know.
Mia's unexpected words left me frozen.
You have to divorce him.
What?
I'm prepared to cut ties, so I'll take this house and Tim. You need to leave now.
There stood my sister, with a look I had never seen before. Exhausted from postpartum, I couldn't process the sudden news at all. While gently patting my back, my mom spoke to the two of them.
Fine.
Huh?
You're ready to cut ties, right? Then do whatever you want.
Then,
But don't come crying to me later, okay?
What?
Now, I don't need to be here anymore, so let's go, Sarah.
with that, my mom guided me outside. Mom,
It's fine, don't worry. She talked about cutting ties so easily. But she'll be in for a world of pain.
my mom's words pierced my heart. Tim and I met because of Mia. You see, Tim and Mia were college classmates and dated during those years. I admired him like a big brother when he visited us from time to time. However, after graduating, my sister, who worked for an international company, got transferred overseas. That's when they broke up. A few years later, when I was 27, I met Tim again.
Wow, it's been forever. Let's go grab dinner together sometime.
Sounds great. That renewed connection quickly blossomed into a deeper relationship. After he returned from a 6-month stint abroad, we got married. We didn't have a wedding or a big reception, but our small ceremony in a chapel during our honeymoon became a cherished memory. And yet, a year and a half later, we ended up heading for divorce. A few days later, I was back at my parents' house, and after putting my baby to sleep, I sat with my mom in the living room, sipping tea. Suddenly, the doorbell rang over and over again. Surprised, my mom went to check the monitor and saw my ex-husband and sister, both looking furious. My mom and I exchanged a glance and smirked as she unlocked the door. With a loud noise, they barged in and stomped down the hallway toward the living room.
What the heck is going on?
Mia burst into the room, yelling.
Hey, what's with the shouting? You just came back home after a while, and you're being so loud. You'll wake up the baby who's finally asleep, you know?
My mom scolded Mia, who was holding the baby, in a calm tone. But that seemed to rile my sister up even more, and she snapped back at my mom with a red face.
Of course I'm upset. Why did you have to kick us out of the new house we just moved into? It's our house.
It seemed like my mom had asked them to leave the new home. That was evident from what had arrived today. In Tim's hand was a certified letter, likely from my mom's lawyer. Mom watched the two of them with a smile.
What are you smiling about?
Oh, well, I just thought it's all happening just like I said.
What?
I told you, you can do whatever you want, but don't expect me to clean up your mess, remember? You didn't forget that, did you?
Well, I remember, but, that house is for the three of us. Tim bought that house, so why do you have the right to kick us out, Mom? No matter how much you helped with the money, this is just too much.
Mia said, her frustration boiling over. Then, my mom turned to face her with a deeper smile.
Who told you that?
Who else? Tim told me.
Oh, really? So Tim, is that what you said?
Yes.
Lying is wrong, you know. You need to tell the truth.
What? Lying? Tim didn't lie about anything. That house is the one Tim bought. Do you even have that kind of authority, Mom?
What are you talking about? I bought that house.
What?
That house is in my name. If you want, I can even show you the paperwork.
Paperwork.
Mia, could it be that Tim tricked you?
My mom's words left Mia speechless. Beside her, Tim stood, looking awkwardly down at the floor. When Mia finally spoke, her voice was raspy and barely audible.
What do you mean? That house was finished before Sarah had the baby, and we were supposed to live there together as a family. Tim told me he prepared it for that purpose.
Yeah, that's right. That's why after I got out of the hospital, I brought the baby back there.
It's the house that you and Tim chose together, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Then why is the house in Mom's name? She doesn't live there, right? And she's not planning to, is she?
That's true.
Then why is it in her name? Is Mom paying the mortgage? Why?
Huh? I covered all the payments for that house. Why? Because Sarah is going to inherit our home. That's why we built the house on our land.
What? Sarah is going to inherit the house?
You, as my older daughter, rarely come back from overseas and are often unreachable, while Sarah, as my second daughter, who's been here as a single mom, has always been concerned about my future. It's pretty obvious who I can rely on to take over, don't you think?
My mom stated this firmly.
You never even consulted me about this. I'm the eldest daughter. It's awful that you just decided this without involving me.
It wasn't decided without thought.
What? You made this decision without even talking to me.
You're the one who chose not to come back, aren't you?
What?
When the discussion about the inheritance came up, I tried to include you. Both Mom and I reached out to you countless times. But your phone was always unreachable. Your number got disconnected, and you quit your jobs without telling anyone where you went next. You were overseas, not even in the country. How were we supposed to find you? You barely came back and hardly kept in touch. Even when you occasionally called to let us know you were alive, you wouldn't share anything about your work or where you lived. How could we track you down like that?
Well, you could have used a private investigator or something.
What? A private investigator? Why should we spend a lot of money on someone who wouldn't even respond to our calls and only checked in on their own terms?
That's so unfair.
Unfair? You left on your own and lived freely. Meanwhile, Mom was struggling with her health and managing her responsibilities as both a business owner and a mother. You never cared about that at all. That's why Mom and I decided together that I would take over. We couldn't rely on someone who rarely came home and never kept in touch. Mia bit her lip in frustration. Those words were nothing but the truth. How many years had it been since Mia was assigned overseas? In that time, she only came back a few times, and she had even mentioned that she might never return to the States. She changed jobs and places to live, always on her own terms. We had held a faint hope that she might come back someday, but that hope had long since faded.
Well, I can't help that. I have my own life too.
Yeah, that's why I decided to take over. You should continue living abroad if that's what suits you.
But this and that are two different things.
No, they're not different at all. Mom is already in her 60s. Back when I was in high school, our dad, who had built up a lot of wealth, passed away, and Mom took over his assets and the company he started. It wasn't a huge business, but it was a well-run real estate firm, and Mom had built it up alongside Dad from the start. I wanted to support the company with her, so it was only natural that I chose to work there after graduating from college. You never know how long Mom can stay active in the business. Didn't you realize that when Dad passed away?
Well, that's...
Oh, right, sorry, my bad.
What?
It's probably hard for someone like you, who was carefree abroad while Dad was gone and Mom was struggling, to understand that kind of feeling.
Hey, that's rude. I didn't mean it like that.
But that's exactly what happened, isn't it? That's why I decided to take over, and Tim agreed to become my husband through adoption. Mom built the new house on the land she inherited from Dad, and it's in her name. Besides, you remember that land, don't you?
What?
It's where Dad built a house for Grandma, and we visited there so many times, didn't we?
Wait. Oh.
Remember now? Our new home is where Dad built a house for our grandmother when she lived alone. We had so many memories of being taken there while she was alive. And yet, my sister had forgotten all about it. Do you think we could trust someone with such little awareness to take over our family? If you'd noticed where the house was, you would have seen through Tim's lies right away. My sister, looking pale, muttered under her breath,
So, does that mean we can't live in that house?
"Yeah, that's what I'm saying."
Why not? I'm her daughter. If Tim became my husband through adoption, then Mom would be happy with 2 grandkids.
We've already cut ties, haven't we?
Mom's words interrupted Mia, and the two of them gasped.
You're the one who said it, Mia. You told us you were cutting ties and to get out.
That was...
So we accepted it. Sarah took the divorce papers and she left the house. Accepting it means we accepted your words about cutting ties too. That's why it's only natural that you're being asked to leave the house. Like I said, the house is in my name. Naturally, Sarah isn't living there anymore, and she's cut ties with you, Mia. So, it wouldn't be fair to leave such a nice house empty. Right after that, I reached out to some people from the company, and we found a tenant quickly. They'll need the place cleaned, so I need you both to leave immediately.
Then if we pay, can we stay in the house? How much? How much would it cost?
$8,000.
What?
Pay $8,000 and you can live there.
Hearing the amount, Mia burst out in anger.
What? There's no way we can afford $8,000. Are you kidding me?
Without changing her expression at all, my mom spoke calmly to my sister.
You're the one who's being ridiculous. You suddenly came back, showed up at Sarah's new home, and brought along a child you claimed was a secret child with her husband.
That's...
And by the way, the $8,000 isn't a joke, you know? That house would normally go for at least $10,000.
What?
Mia, do you even realize where that house is? It's in a decent part of the city with a yard and has 4 bedrooms and a living room. If you really want to live there, we're offering it to you for $8,000. Isn't that generous? Right, Tim? When I directed my words to my ex-husband, he flinched and responded with a strained smile. How can he even smile right now? I can't understand why he's trying to put on a friendly face in this situation. By the way, Tim, why did you tell Mia that you built that house? It's awful to deceive people like that.
I'm sorry. There wasn't really a reason. I wanted to show off or something.
What?
I just thought, since Mia had decided to come back to the States, I wanted her to feel secure about it. I thought that if I told her about the house, it might put her at ease.
Wait, so you sold me out just to make Mia feel secure?
Come on, don't put it like that. I care about both you and Mia. It doesn't matter to me who's the wife or who I live with. You're both important to me.
What is that supposed to mean?
Hey, Tim.
Both Mia and I were stunned by his words. I couldn't make any sense of what he was saying. But the way he spoke with such a serious expression made me wonder if I was the one who was off here. Of course, that couldn't be true. Do you actually love us? Or do you just love the Williams family's money? It was probably a question that hit the mark. Tim went silent for a moment before forcing a bright smile again.
Of course I love you both. No doubt about it.
It was obviously a lie. Sorry for making you lie again, but I already knew, that you were just after the Williams family's money. Of course, I only realized that after the shocking events of the past few days.
Sarah, what are you talking about?
What do you mean?
What do you mean Tim was after the Williams money?
It's exactly what it sounds like. He was using us to get access to the Williams family's money just to live a cushy life. That's all there is to it. Mia looked like she couldn't accept it. I hadn't even imagined something like that myself. I thought I was just going to have a happy married life. But a few days ago, I found out the truth after that incident. Tim and I met again at a bar when I was out with my colleagues, and we started dating. But that whole thing was set up. Tim had a devious plan.
What? What do you mean?
Tim deliberately arranged it to look like a chance meeting between us.
To use Sarah?
Yep. When you think about it, that bar was pretty far from Tim's office. And it's just a chain bar, right? He could have gone to one closer to his office. So why did he choose that one? It was all planned to make it look like we ran into each other by chance.
What? Why? And how do you even know about this?
A colleague told me after I mentioned I was getting a divorce.
What did they say?
That colleague happened to meet another coworker who was at that drinking party with Tim about a month ago, and they told him about it.
And?
They said that the whole thing was orchestrated, and Tim asked for help to charm the girl he was targeting. He said she was the younger sister of his ex, who already liked him, so he was sure it would work. He thought he shouldn't miss the chance to get with the wealthy sisters. He said that since they're from the same family, it didn't matter whether it was the older or the younger sister.
What the hell? Who's spreading these lies?
Whether it's true or not, they were talking about it loud enough at the party that everyone heard. My coworkers, especially the women, apparently all thought it was pathetic.
Why do I have to be called pathetic by some random woman?
Well, you were. My colleague even told me that after hearing about it, they were going to tell me to hurry up and get a divorce. They said I made the right choice by ending it.
What?
By the way, I've already got a direct statement from your coworker, and some others too. Want to hear the recordings? When I offered the voice recorder, he shook his head and bit his lip. He probably never imagined that his coworker, someone he worked with just today, would have spilled everything like it was nothing. But honestly, the most unbelievable thing here was how clueless this man was. After that, things went smoothly. We started dating, and before I knew it, we were talking about marriage. I admit, I got caught up in the excitement of reconnecting and was foolish.
See, it's not all my fault. You can't get married on your own, you know?
His shameless attitude made me turn my gaze away in disgust. I know that, but that's not what I'm talking about right now.
Huh?
Tim, you were in quite a rush to get married, weren't you?
What?
You said you wanted to finalize our engagement before your overseas assignment so you could leave with peace of mind. You even mentioned celebrating together when you got back.
Well, yeah, kinda.
And you also said you wanted kids as soon as possible, didn't you?
Yeah, I really wanted to have kids.
Even though you already had a child with Mia?
What?
That kid is so well behaved, isn't he? Even during all this chaos, he's been quietly playing with his toys. I looked over at the child who, despite the tense adult arguments, was calmly playing alone. You met Mia again while you were on your overseas assignment. You two broke up initially because Mia was assigned abroad. So meeting up again, there must have been quite the reunion, huh? You guys got back together quickly, and just before you returned to the States, Mia found out she was pregnant.
How do you know that?
Well, listen up. Mia had no intention of coming back here, but you had to return when your assignment ended. Wondering what to do, you decided to dig into the situation with the Williams family. You found out that Mom was running the company and that I had started working there. So you figured I might be the one to inherit the business. And he probably already knew that Mia hadn't been in touch with the family or returned to the States at all. So you thought, he'll just check in on Mia when I go abroad occasionally. If she doesn't come back, that's her choice. It'll be more beneficial to stay close to the younger sister. If things go well, I might even end up married to a future company president. And that's why you approached me. And that brings us back to the story from earlier. As I laid out the story, Mia's face turned red with anger, and my mom furrowed her brow deeply. Tim probably never thought I knew this much. He opened and closed his mouth like a fish, wanting to say something but unable to.
How do you know all this?
His dry throat strained to produce a raspy voice. All this? Yes, all this. To some people, your secrets are exactly just all this.
What?
Remember how I told you I got direct statements from your coworkers? Well, I treated them to some drinks and dinner with some cute girls from the office, and they happily spilled everything.
Girls.
Yeah, seems like everyone around you, including you, is just desperate for female attention. Pretty loose, don't you think? I guess they figured selling out their buddy's secrets to a coworker's wife was worth it if they could get in with some girls. To them, I guess that's just all this, huh? Even this sarcastic tone seemed to finally get through to clueless Tim. He started muttering curses about his colleagues under his breath. Ignoring him, I continued with my story. So, after finalizing our engagement, you went back overseas. It was an assignment you specifically arranged to align with Mia's due date. By then, her belly was already big and she was close to giving birth. You checked again, but Mia still had no intention of returning to the States. So, you followed your original plan, which means that you continued with our marriage in the US while planning a dual life with Mia during your overseas assignment.
What a jerk.
After your assignment ended, you came back to the States. We went on our honeymoon, which doubled as our wedding. He officially became a part of the Williams family. A few months later, I got pregnant, and you were overjoyed at having a future heir. When we found out it was a boy, you were ecstatic. Looking back now, it was all probably part of his manipulative plan.
That's not true.
Oh, shut up.
Sorry.
So, during my pregnancy, instead of long assignments, you took short trips overseas to check in on Mia. At first, this dual life went smoothly. But one day, she saw his phone, and Mia found out about our marriage. Isn't that right, Mia? When I addressed her, my sister, who had been silent until then, glared at me and quickly began to speak.
That's right. I thought, even if Tim kept working in the US, as long as he made time to visit me and our child, I wouldn't insist on marriage. But he went and married Sarah behind my back. And to make it worse, with you, Sarah. And their child was almost here. I couldn't forgive him. I couldn't get married, but you could? So, when we met for the last time before he left, I told him I was coming back to the States too. I told him that he should divorce you, marry me, and we'd live together.
Oh, really? But Tim refused, didn't he? He chose to marry me because I was going to inherit the Williams family. Marrying you, who was practically disconnected from the Williams family, wasn't in his interest.
Well, yes.
Even as she spoke angrily, I could tell that Mia seemed to have some sense of confidence. She must have had some kind of trump card. I decided to ask her directly. So, how did you manipulate Tim?
Manipulate? That sounds so harsh. I just had a little chat with Tim. I reminded him about the money we'd been skimming from the company together. I asked him if he'd like me to spill the beans.
As Mia said this, Tim panicked and forcefully urged her to stop talking, but she ignored him and continued.
You see, I was in charge of accounting at Tim's company while we were overseas. It was a small office, just me, the branch manager, and a few employees from the main office. I never expected to run into Tim there, but from that point, getting back together happened fast.
Oh, really?
Then, after a while, Tim asked me, Mia, can you move company funds if you're in accounting? Tim had gotten hooked on online gambling overseas and couldn't handle it himself anymore. I didn't owe anything to that company, so I chose Tim over the company. I started discreetly funneling small amounts of money to Tim.
I thought it was foolish. The company or Tim? And you choose Tim over the company? I couldn't even fathom that. Mia, despite being pregnant, couldn't afford to lose her job, so she only took about 3 days off before and after giving birth and then went back to work, bringing her baby along.
That's how I managed to keep the embezzlement hidden from the branch manager all this time.
So if you quit, wouldn't that get exposed?
I've covered my tracks well enough, so it's fine. But I kept all the evidence of the embezzlement, just in case I ever needed it. And, well, I guess it came in handy after all.
I see. Mia had used this as leverage to pressure Tim into promising to divorce me and marry her, with plans to live together in that house he claimed he had bought.
It's truly pathetic.
My mom muttered softly, her voice full of sadness. Even Mia seemed shaken for a moment but quickly regained her composure.
Who cares? I just did everything I could to help the man I love. And I even managed to come back to the States and get married. Isn't that enough?
Had she confused freedom with recklessness while living her carefree life overseas? Her words sounded reasonable, but her actions were far from it. I took a deep breath and faced Mia again. It might not seem like a big deal to you two, but to me and everyone around you, all you've done is cause trouble.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I lost my husband, and I couldn't even move into the new home I've been looking forward to right after giving birth. How could you cause more trouble than that?
That couldn't be helped. Tim chose me.
No, I didn't. I never wanted to divorce Sarah. I was fine with living a separate life with you overseas while keeping my marriage with Sarah here.
Why would you say that? I want to be with you, Tim, forever.
Then you should have come back to the States in the first place. If you had come back and taken over the Williams family, I would have married you instead.
So it's all about the money, after all. To Tim, he probably believed he had feelings for us both. But those feelings were so twisted that they never reached me. In the end, he didn't care who he was with, as long as it involved inheriting the family. All I could do was grimace. Anyway, you two are going to take responsibility for all the trouble you've caused others.
Huh?
What do you mean?
The company is looking into some financial irregularities.
What?
Well, obviously. Now that you who handle the finances are gone and someone new took over, it's only natural they'd find some discrepancies.
But I made sure everything was perfectly disguised in the expense reports.
That's exactly the problem.
What?
I spoke to Tim's coworkers and learned about your activities. So I called the branch manager overseas to hear more about what you two had been up to.
What?
You called all the way over there?
Yeah, and they told me there were suspicions of embezzlement involving you. I couldn't believe my ears. Mia was probably wondering how she got caught. Her mind was likely spinning with that thought. She looked nervous, unable to focus her gaze. The new person who took over after you left. It turns out they were the one who handled the finances before you.
What?
When you decided to quit, the branch manager reached out to them and brought them back. And that person noticed that, even though it's a small branch and expenses have a predictable pattern, things changed suddenly in the third year of your employment. So that means it changed right after you reconnected with Tim.
That's...
Even if you thought you were being sneaky with your accounting, someone who worked there long enough would notice the differences right away. So, it's likely you two won't just miss out on your happy newlywed life in that house. You might not even have a life together at all. The two of them were stunned, their expressions going blank for a moment before they started to panic.
Wait, what does that mean? Are we being accused of something?
I've been saying that from the beginning.
But the only evidence is those financial records, right? There's no way to prove anything with just that.
Mia declared confidently. Had she really become this foolish? If they reach out to the vendors listed in those records, they'll find out quickly whether it's true or not.
They wouldn't go through that trouble.
They definitely would. It's a business, not a personal loan.
You've got to be kidding me.
Are you thinking straight? And by the way, I've recorded every conversation we've had so far.
What?
So if I submit this as evidence to the company, your suspicions will become a reality. Not only will you be fired and held liable for damages, but you'll likely end up facing criminal charges too. The shock of my words left them both pale and sweating. A small hand gently grasped Mia's trembling fingers. After that, Mia and Tim, having lost their home, rented a small short-term apartment, and Tim went into hiding, taking time off from work. But life doesn't cut you a break that easily. The company, after receiving my recordings, immediately consulted with the police. The police quickly tracked down them, leading to their arrest. Naturally, they were both fired on the spot. The arrest led to a conviction, making my warning to them a reality. Their child was taken in by Tim's parents. When they learned the whole story, his parents repeatedly apologized to me and my mom. They especially expressed deep regret to me and my child, vowing to make amends for the rest of our lives. And they provided a substantial sum for child support as a gesture of goodwill. According to them, this money was just a loan for now, and they planned to make their son repay every cent. With the money he misused from the company, Tim now faced nearly $200,000 in debt, likely spending the rest of his life trying to pay it off.